Alex here with a legal nuts and bolts video on telephonic appearances. What I mean by that is appearing in court by telephone. Most people know what that is. Not many people know how to actually get that to happen in their case though. In Nevada, we have Supreme Court rules that actually devote an entire section to just telling the lower judges when they are required to allow people to appear telephonically or when they are allowed to allow people to appear telephonically. They break it down into like 3 different sections, one for criminal cases, one for ordinary civil cases, and one for like domestic relations cases, which includes child custody, visitation, and divorce, but also quite a few other things get lumped into that as well. There's also something known as appearing by audio-video communications device. Most people don't know what that is. Really, it's just like appearing by Skype. And the only difference between that and telephonic is that the court can also see your face while you're talking, whereas with the telephone, they can't. You can pick up tone and obviously the contents, which is, the words that are being said, but you can't get gestures and body language. Whereas with audio-video communications, you can. Even then, it's just not the same thing as a person not being in the courtroom, but it's as close as you can get, and under some circumstances, people just can't get to court. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about the particulars as to how this applies in all of the different cases, because this is one of those areas of the law that can change frequently. So what I just wanted to do is let people know that this is a thing, and that at least in Nevada, there are court rules that dictate when you can ask for this and when the court must grant it. So really, I wanted to let people know that it was something, to look into if you are unable to appear in court. The one last thing I wanted to mention is, it appears to me that when testimony is going to be provided as like evidentiary support for a judge, it appears to me that in those situations, audio-video communication is what has to be done, not telephonic. Whereas if you're not providing testimony, like if it's not an evidentiary hearing or a trial, it's some kind of hearing on law in motion or like a pretrial conference or something like that, the court isn't taking evidence at those hearings, so it would be appropriate to appear just by telephone in those hearings. There's no need to determine if you were telling the truth or not. There's no need to weigh the credibility of different witnesses in those types of hearings, so appearing by telephone isn't a big deal. If in Nevada somebody's going to object to something like this, the court's going to fall back on the rules. If you are in a state that does not have rules as to when you are allowed to appear by telephone or by audio-video communication, it might get really complicated for you. You may want to consider looking into case law. And if there is nothing in any of the case law, and there's nothing in any statutes or court rules, it may be an issue that just has to be appealed in your state so that your Supreme Court or that some appellate court in your state can actually address it and set forth some kind of concrete rules for the judges to follow. I think that's really all I really have to say with this video. I have used the rules, the Supreme Court rules that I'm talking about before. They're wonderful. In Nevada, I recall at the time that I read them, which is a few years ago, I recall that I was able to appear telephonically by filing a notice. I just filed a notice of intent to appear by telephone, and I put my name, the phone number that I could be reached at, and I cited the Supreme Court rule that said that basically backed up what I was doing, and I didn't have any issues at all. I got a call from I think it was a child support enforcement matter, because my ex, they were trying to hold my ex in contempt of court, and I didn't want to drive all the way to Reno or fly there, and I just wanted to appear by telephone. Since they weren't going to take my testimony anyway, appearing by telephone shouldn't be an issue. And I got a call from the district attorney, and they said that I could expect a phone call on this day and time, and everything went perfectly. So in Nevada, they do seem to follow the rules, at least with regards to appearing by telephone or by audio-video communication. With that, if anyone here has any issues or has had any issues in their state with appearing by telephone or by audio-video communication, definitely post that in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time.